and welcome to our fourth and final session of our third annual Get Ready, Get Prepared information sessions on hurricane preparation. This evening we have about 3 presentations for you, 3 very interactive and dynamic, because we have some presenters who are very passionate about the information. So please do your utmost to take as much mental as well as physical notes, because it will be very useful, as were the other topics, of course. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the staff and, of course, our colleagues from the Court of Guardianship to deliver their first presentation.
So once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Court of Guardianship Hurricane Preparedness Presentation 2024. My name is Alicia Wilson, and here is my 2 colleagues next to me, Ms. Abigail Trustful and Mrs. Vanina Daniel. This evening, our agenda points is as follows: the Court of Guardianship, preparedness and response of the Court of Guardianship during a disaster, Child Protection Department, Youth Probation Department, and the Child Support Management Department, Child Protection during a disaster, and lastly, Child Protection by Evacuation video. So within the Court of Guardianship, we have 3 sections. However, the Child Protection Department section has recently divided into 2 sections. We have the counsel investigators, where we receive requests from the Court of the First Instance on St. Martin to give advice on main residency, custody, child support, and visitation arrangement. We also advise on legal guardianship, denial paternity, and adoption. So the second section is the CMCA, which is the Centrale Meldpunt van Kindermishandeling. That is called the Central Authority Agency for Child Protection. That department carries out the independent research, advises on legal proceedings, and may propose measures or sanctions to ensure the well-being of the child. That section also performs an investigation consisting of home visits, school visits, face-to-face interviews with the children, parents, legal guardians, and also with person who has information on that case. They also make an assessment of the case, which can result either in referral to a psychologist or a family counsel. So let me just elaborate on that. So when the assessment come in, we review the case, and then if there's a situation that it needs to be referred to a psychologist or a family counsel, then we do that. We hand it over to those professionals. Or it will then be, we will then take a private measure, which will be handled by the Court of the First Instance on St. Martin, whereas then the judge will make a ruling. You'll get a court decree. The judge will make a ruling. So now we go over to the second department, the second section within that department, which is the youth probation. That is, that department handles when a minor is between the ages of 12 and 18 and commits a criminal offense. Then the youth probation within the Court of Guardianship then will supervise that criminal offense. So then, sorry? Yeah, during the probation period. So then they will do the contact with the OM, etc. Okay? And lastly, then we have the child support management. Now that department manages all payments, which it can be voluntarily, where father, mother will come in and then pay voluntarily via the bank, because that's the onlyest way we make payments is via the bank. So no one can come in like years ago to pay cash. So everything goes via the bank. Or it could be mandated by court, whereas then we will get a buskicking And in that beskicken will state Mr. Jones or Miss Williams will then have to pay $300. It all depends on your salary.
Preparedness and Child Protection Department. When it comes to preparedness, community-based emergency-related action, the awareness is what we are doing now. Information to the public and the community prior to the season. We all know that we also have a EOC in St. Martin, Emergency Operations Center, and within, it is divided in ESFs from 1 to 10. The Court of Guardianship is part of the ESF 7 and also ESF 5. The ESF 5 works along of the Youth Probation Department, works along with the ESF 5. As my colleague just mentioned, is when a child commits a crime, then the youth probation will assist and have control over the child and make sure the child do the community service. So the youth probation department will be in contact with the prosecutor office and the police. So that's why they falls under ESF 5. The child protection part falls under ESF 7. Within the ESF 7 group, we also prepared for the season. During the whole year, we can have meetings, several meetings and training workshops and drills just to see how prepared we are. And also the goal is to be familiar with the work processes, because we all know we are human. When a disaster hits, you can just get in a panic mode. But if you have continuously do those workshops and get familiar to the work process, you can you can minimize the stress level. So the response to the awareness is that during the disaster or before the disaster, you have the EOC and who have to make the decision. And the ESF cheerleaders will then give all the information to the different ESFs so we know what steps to take. Second, review, update MOUs with the relevant stakeholders. We have MOUs with SGIS, the courthouse, the border control, ESS 7, and also the prosecutor office. All the tasks and on task and operational level. The response to that is that during or before the disaster, we just collaborate with shelters and border control as it pertains to the safety and well-being of the minors. When it comes to the shelter, when a shelter is open, one of our staff members will go in and check if it is safe for a child to receive a child. And also when they witness child abuse, they have to report it to COG. Furthermore, if the shelter staff member notice that a child comes in unaccompanied, then they also need to report it to the COG. So we can come in and then deal further with the matter. Thirdly, identify and assist vulnerable clients. During our walk-ins on Tuesday and Thursday, we just assess our clients and see who is vulnerable, and then we have a vulnerable list. When it comes to the response, during or after a disaster, we can just pull out the list and see which clients were vulnerable, so we can call in and see if everything is okay or if they need some assistance, and then we can refer them to social services, for example, a box. The fourth point, international coordination, communicate with the inter-island bodies. We have an inter-island protocol, for example, with Curacao. 48 hours prior to a disaster, we contact Curacao. Like, hey guys, listen, we might hit, St. Martin might hit, and just be alert. And the response is that after the disaster, we just contact them back and give them detailed information. We have a list, 10 minors are coming, and please receive them and make sure you also check in with the psychosocial well-being of the child. To come back to the collaborate with shelters and border control, I only give the information of the shelters. However, by the border controls, the airport and the port COG will be represented by one of our staff members to give the information regarding custody and unaccompanied minors when you want to send away the minor. And SGIS, we also contact them to see if they fine-tune with the foster parents and if the foster parents are okay, and also the homes. And the youth probation, on a daily basis, they have briefing at the prosecutor office, and they also need to have a wellness check with their clients.
So regarding the child support management department, how they're prepared, they ensure to update their clienting list. So because remember, they're the one who managing the payments, so they need to make sure that their payment list is on point. They need to make sure that the names that are on it is the one that normally also pays, because we also have the ones that do not pay, but make sure it's up to date. So that is the only preparation they can do prior to a disaster. And their response is, if we're off the grid, we cannot respond because we only work through the bank. So if the bank system is down, then we cannot also work when it comes to the Department of Child Support. So that being said, they only could prepare, but once the grid is back and working, then they can process the payment. However, we also need to bear in mind, if that person lost their job or no longer is working, then they have to also inform that client or that person who is receiving the money, this and this situation has happened, so we might not be able then to process the money. And that person who's supposed to pay have to come in and inform them that I no longer have a job, and make sure continue to update the Court of Guardianship regarding their situation, in case that we have to go back to court to then report it to say, hey, this person no longer can make this payment due to this reason. And then they could also not have a fine or have that backlog due to the fact that they cannot pay this child support. So they also need to be able to inform us what's going on and their status of their work. Financial. The community-based awareness will be right now what we're doing, giving the information so a person could be aware of, once the system is down, once there's no bank, we cannot work, we cannot do anything. So they also don't need to be frustrated, because that could also cause a frustration if you're thinking that, hey, a hurricane hit and I need some money, and now Court of Guardianship ain't distributing the money. But if the bank is down, we are down. And if the person can't make the payment, then we can't give the payment. So that's it, all interlocked with each other. However, if that person comes in and say, hey, I no longer working, I cannot afford to pay this child, so because of whatever reason, we need to then inform the person. And then we also what we could do is put them in a vulnerable list and refer them to the social services to then maybe receive a package until that person is able then to pay the child support. Again, if not, then we would have to report it back after a couple of months of them not producing or bringing in the money, to see if it's something that they could continue or if it have to be changed. And child protection during a disaster, what is very, very important for us is to have the prepare, talk, involve the kids. Because we know this is our season. Hurricane season is not new for us. Just like if you're in a different place, there are snow blazers and all these stuff. This is ours. We have to hold it. Do not get scared. This is our own. So we have to let the children know exactly what to expect, what it is, what they could see outside, the noise they might be hearing. So then let them be involved. If you know you have your important document, you need to put it in a Ziploc bag, waterproof type of bag. Make them be involved, make them understand this is normal. So then their stress level is also calm. They also understand the process. Moms, if you know you have a baby and a toddler, what is very important for you is diaper and wipes. If we have no water, no electricity, we cannot bathe, we cannot do nothing. But what's important is make sure you have the wipes to wipe down the child, And also diaper cream, because we know, for example, if they ain't bathing properly, rash might start coming, but at least we have some type of protective measure regarding those stuff. But then that's something, you know, hey, we know the peak of our season is August to October, meaning don't wait last minute. Right now, today, tomorrow, you start buying an extra pack of diapers or the wipes. So when the time hit, you know, 48 hours coming down, people start talking, hey, this hurricane seems that it can come, and you know, we know it's already the active season, then we can say, hey, we do not need to worry too much. Now we could go maybe for 2 cases because we're already prepared. We know what's coming. Because nothing wrong with being prepared, because guess what? You're wasting it, because after October passed, the peak, November kind of died down, you can still use the product. So just prepare yourself. At least we know we don't have to depend on others. So just make sure your home is correct. And when it comes to the early and middle childhood, of course, let them be involved. Let them pick up their favorite books, what they like, you know, what type of books they like to like. If they want a certain game, let them pick something that is very comforting. So during the storm, they also could be in their own zone and not feel too much pressure of what's happening outside. So let them pick what they want to do. And also, if you have a teenager, also the young kids, let them start packing up. If you have things outside, we need to pick up the plants and stuff. Let them be involved, part of the preparation. And when it comes to the teenagers, let them know about the consequences when it comes to looting. Because, you know, we also have the Snellrecht. So remember, because the Court of Guardianship also part of the ESF5, and then every day they have a daily briefing with the prosecutor department. So immediately they'll be given the sanction to see what community service they have to do one time. So there will be consequences for looting. And again, what is very important during the disaster when it comes to child protection, it's always good to have cash. Money, money, money. Because again, we do not know what's going to happen with the Bankomatico, what's going to happen, and we need to make decisions. If a supermarket's open and we need certain items, we need to make sure that we have cash with us so we could at least get what we need. Is very important in our household. So that's something we need to know, to have a little something on us. Also for persons who know it's an evacuation, it's a part of my method of leaving with my family or sending my kids, then you also need to know that you need to have that amount of money also with you if you need to purchase a ticket, because not every time we will have this free flights. And if you do get the flight, when you reach the certain spot, then you still have to pay for the next flight. Because that also had transpired during Irma, person reached a certain place, but then because they just came empty, they were kind of stuck, and they had to return, who could not have made it. We would rather the kids stay with us, because again, as I said, it's a normal season. We all going through the same trauma. All the other children going through the same trauma. It's not just your child. But I can understand if you feel like you have to work and you will not have the time to be caring for your child, then you have to send your child, then of course have that conversation with the child. Let the child know where they're going. Because sometimes we think by sending our child, they're going to the best spot, but most of the time, they'd rather stay here with you and go through this trial that you're going. And it's not only they missing school, it's the entire community at this time would be missing school. So just remember, it's not a must. However, if you decide to send the kids away, there are certain documents that are required. For example, passport. The passport needs to be valid. We know they had some campaign with the civil registry that you could have walked in on certain days to renew the passport because on Saturdays. However, we know if you would have to put a date right now, it might be all in August, which is also the peak, and we don't know when we're going to receive it. However, just make sure right now, check to see if the passport is valid. Then the detailed registration form for parents who are married. Because remember, this is something we'll be controlling at the border to make sure who have parental authority over these children or child that is leaving. If you are married, based on our Dutch law, both parents have joint custody. So meaning both parents need to give consent that I'm allowing my child to leave the country. So that's why when we have a detailed registration form that indicates that you are married, we can know, hey, John is the father and Amy is the mother of these children. So that's something we will require to ask to see, just in case some people have a trouble here. We could also look into that, but get a detailed registration form as part of your package when you're coming to the preparing for hurricane. Another thing that's important is the parental declaration. Those is for single parents. So parents that are single parents and also parents that are not married. Single parents now who just living with someone, based on our Dutch law, a mom has full custody. Whether the child is acknowledged by the father, the mother has full custody. So some person here in the community think, okay, because I acknowledge my child, meaning I have rights to say or make decision. That is not true. Mother has custody. However, you and the dad, mom and dad, can go to the courthouse to register for joint custody. So that's why we say go and request for a parental declaration, because on top of that form, we'll say, hey, John and Amy share custody over Vanina, for example. Or if the mom is a child carrying the father's last name, it could also indicate that only the mother has full custody. So those are the things that we're going to be watching and asking during the border control. And another important document, if you're divorced, those cases is divorce cases or cases when it comes to legal guardianship. So divorce cases, sometimes when parents decide they no longer want to be together, the judge could grant the mother sole custody, or they could continue living as joint custody. So that would be a court decree that indicates who has custody over the child. So we would not need the detailed registration form, nor the parental declaration, just the court decree. And again, if you become the legal guardian of a child, you can also receive a court decree. And then once you present that, we're going to know that you are the one responsible for this child. So let's say the mother show up, we're going to like, hey, if this lady showing me a court decree indicates this, then I know this person's the one who have to make the decision. So that is a very important document as well.
At this time, I would like to invite Ms. Patterson of the Guardian Group.
Hi, welcome everyone, and for taking your time to come out and listen to very informative information from all that are presenting right now. So my name is Wai-Hing Patterson, and I have my colleague who's very shy, so she's not going to come up, let's say, on stage. But she's here for moral support. So I'm going to start and give you some information on actually why insurance is important. Also, the types of insurance products. I'm not going to go over all the products. It's basically the products that are very important for you to actually get ready and well prepared for hurricane, and also give you tips and tricks on what you can do to also save on your premiums. And also a detailed explanation on the product itself. We know that insurance is basically a topic that it's kind of important, but it gets a bit boring and tedious because it's a lot of, black and white. And we understand that. We ourselves sometimes think when we read our policy conditions, it's very monotonous. So it's really important that we get this opportunity. Actually, we thank government for actually preparing this night to actually give this information to you, and hopefully you actually share this, not only our information, but all our facilitators' information. Also, what to do when you have to file a claim. That's also important. So being well prepared is very important, so then you can actually have these documentations. Of course, some of them is not all the documents you have ready, but just know what we would need as an insurance company to actually process your claim. And also the questions, which will then be on the sign of Mr. Arundel. So we're going to start off with the types of insurance products we'll be presenting today. It's actually our property insurance, which entails the property itself, so the building, and also the contents, which is actually inside your building. We will also touch on the vehicle insurance, also our marine insurance for those that maybe have a boat. I don't know who have a boat, but maybe, you never know. Our travel insurance, and also our life insurance. So we start off on our property insurance and contents. What we actually insure then is the building itself and the contents. Why we place contents is because during Hurricane Irma, we noticed that a lot of tenants, they thought that the landlord was actually responsible to actually insure the contents. So that is something that we were very shocked to hear, that a lot of tenants relied on the landlord to insure their properties. So imagine this is your home right now, and this is your personal items. You have to insure it. It's not the landlord, because the landlord does not know the value of your property. So it's very important that you do that. The thing is about insurance is that not all of us are aware what is needed. We more tend to actually think on more car insurance, vehicle insurance, because police officer will pull you over and then you will get a fine. But these are insurance that if you actually just reach out to us and just get a quotation, get that information, you will notice that it is affordable. Yes? So what is covered during hurricane for the property insurance and the content? It is our fire extended, including catastrophe. It has to include the catastrophe. We have, of course, other coverages, but it has to include the catastrophe. It is the most, let's say, it will, let's say, bring up the price, but it is something that you would need for hurricane. If, let's say, for example, you have only fire extended, excluding cat or catastrophe, it will not include the hurricane coverage. And of course, there's also those that go very inexpensive and say, no, my house is a bunker, a concrete roof, concrete walls, hurricane shutters, and I will only take out a fire insurance. It only covers fire. So in case of a fire, it covers that, nothing else. So just be aware of that coverage. There is extra coverage for tenants that probably you're not aware of. You as a tenant, let's say for example, you want to install a hurricane shutter by the door because you think it's a bit vulnerable. You speak to the landlord says that, no, I don't want to actually install this, and you get a permission from the landlord, you can actually install that hurricane shutter at your own expense. If it gets damaged during hurricane, you can claim that. So just know that you can actually add this extra coverage with your contents insurance. In Dutch, it's then the huurdersbelang. It's a fitting for on the property that you placed, and you will actually get that reimbursed. For business owners, I'm not sure if there are any business owners here, or maybe you know some business owners, you also can have an extra coverage of business interruption. Business interruption actually ensures that the business can continue operating while hurricane, let's say after the hurricane season, or sorry, the hurricane hits us, if it causes damages to the property. And for example, they have to continue paying a salary, but it cannot operate. This business interruption will actually help that business continue. And they can actually take a 26, 39, or 52 weeks coverage. Of course, the more you take, the more expensive it will be. We advise more than 26 weeks coverage. Yes. We also have the deductible. For the contents, it's 2% of the insured amount. So for example, if you go through your property and you notice it costs $10,000, then it's 2% of that will be your own deductible. That's an eigen risico. Yes, just like a vehicle, you have a deductible, you also have a deductible also for the contents and also the property. How is a premium actually calculated? It's actually, so it's our tariff multiplied by the reconstruction value, that's one, or the property contents. What we did is we brought a kind of a sheet. It is part of an application, but it is something that was helpful for you. You can prepare, fill that out, so you know what contents you have. After hurricane hits, especially Irma, for you to go through item per item what you actually is claiming, it's already devastating for you. So it's always good you actually fill this out and you update it every year. This is something which is very helpful, and you don't necessarily have to use our sheet, but you can actually just copy it, put it in an Excel sheet, and maybe add things like, for example, you don't think on carpet, you don't think on maybe perfume or colognes that persons would purchase, your curtains, your towels, you never know. Again, a closet that you bought, you remember sheetrock, as soon as sheetrock gets wet, it's actually written off. You can use it still, of course, but you can claim it. So just know that these are little things that you can actually still claim with your contents insurance. Also, yeah, the list, sorry, I gave the list. So it is at the back of the room. You can actually grab a sheet, and it's again something where you just fill it out and just disregard the part with the signature. That was just part of our application that I pulled that part out of it to just be something helpful for you to make a list. So we're going to go over to our vehicle insurance. So during hurricane, we do have different types of coverages for vehicle, but please know the only coverage that you can have to claim during hurricane season is our comprehensive, which is the all risk. So all insurance companies have different, let's say, lingo on that, but it's comprehensive or all risk. I just want to give you some tips on what the deductible is at Guardian Group on a third party, which you cannot claim for hurricane, but it is 150 guilders. Our third party plus and comprehensive, it starts from 250 guilders, it goes up to 850 guilders. Yes, and of course the tip would be for vehicle is that the more, let's say, deductible you take, you could actually get a discount. So you can get 10% extra discount, but then of course the deductible will go up. And then you go up to 25% discount, but then that goes up to 1,500 guilders. Again, you can say that you are a safe driver, but just to know that we have other drivers, you know. We get a bit lost sometimes in our phone, which we have to try to tend to, you know, not do, but just know that there are some discounts that you can get if you increase your deductible. And I'm sure it's not only from Guardian Group, it's probably by other insurance companies also. Yes. We also have our marine insurance. Why marine? It's because we do have a lot of boats that are out there that do need the insurance also, but we only do it for registered boats that are on St. Martin. There are a lot of boats out there too that are not registered on St. Martin, so we cannot give them that coverage. But once they're registered on St. Martin, we can actually provide that coverage. You'll be very surprised that our marine insurance is actually pretty affordable in comparison with our vehicle insurance. Yes. I guess statistically, there's more cars than boats. Yeah. And also the deductible is 2% of the insured amount also. And there's, just like a vehicle, you have no claim years. A boat doesn't have that. So if you actually file a claim, you don't lose no claim years. Yeah, so that's something for you to maybe pass on to a friend or family member that has a boat. So the travel insurance, there are those that do ask, travel insurance, I'm not understanding what that has to do with hurricane. Well, our cancellation travel insurance, this is something where, let's say you do have your travel insurance, you take your travel insurance just in case you lose your baggage, you, let's say, a delay in your baggage that doesn't come, but the cancellation, it goes along with our continuous travel insurance. Continuous travel insurance means it's a year-long valid, and let's say, for example, you're planned in September to go on vacation, but a hurricane is coming, and you want to cancel your trip because you want to secure your property. You can actually cancel and then claim on that. There are hotels, airlines that might be understanding, but let's say if they do not reimburse you, you can actually claim that cost with Guardian Group to get it reimbursed. Maybe you're already abroad and you want to come back home. Hurricane hit, you cannot come back. Then you can actually file on that. So then when you, let's say you have to extend your hotel stay about maybe 5 more days, you can actually save your invoice and then claim that also. So a cancellation insurance is something where you can actually file during hurricane. There are not many, there's only 2 of us on the island that do actually do this travel insurance. That's us and Enya. Yes? So life insurance, why life insurance? The thing is, life insurance is something where we don't think about, but it is something where in case of a hurricane, something might happen. Of course, we don't want to think about it, but it might cause a death in a family or a friend. It's always good to secure your life insurance also. It's a minimum you can take, and it will cost a minimum. It starts from, I believe, 30 guilders. Again, it depends on your age, it depends on your health situation. It's always good to have it for yourself. Yes, because we noticed after Hurricane Irma, everyone actually approaches for life insurance, but it shouldn't be when a calamity hits that you go and secure that. Or even, not even insurance, but different things. It shouldn't be when something happens, you do that. You really have to be well prepared, and you never know. It might not be something that you make use of, but at the end, it matures, and it can give you something at retirement. We're not talking about retirement now, but it is something that will happen. Yes? So this is just something that will tell you that, it's a financial protection for you and your family, and the peace of mind you will have when a tragedy or calamity occurs during the agreed period with Guardian Group. So basically, with insurance itself, it's really about giving that risk to someone else. So you're giving it then to an insurance company to take that risk. In exchange, you pay a lower premium instead of you having to kind of take it out of your pocket to pay that. Especially for, let's say, property. People would say, no, but my property is secure. I don't need to do that. Just to give you an idea, with that, there might be a leak because of hurricane. You can actually claim that also. So I'm just giving you all those tips that insurance is something that is needed. It is something that we don't think about, but it's there, and I'm thinking in Dutch, but shift that risk to let someone else cover that for you. So the claims. For the property and contents, a lot of it is mostly the same, but the contents and property is you have to start, as soon as it happens, you have to start getting estimates on your repair. So your roof got damaged, don't get one estimate. Get two, hopefully you can get two, and then you see which one actually makes sense to you, and then you submit it. It has to make sense to you, because John might say it needs, 20 screws, and Jack might say it needs 30. What is logic to you, and that will repair it in a good and better state. Remember, better than it was before. It could have been it was good, but something flew and hit the roof and damaged it. Yes? Fill out the claim form. An adjuster will contact you. The deductible is 2% of the insured amount. And this you don't have to pay out of your pocket right away. As soon as they file the claim, then they will deduct that deductible from it. But do know, I always advise persons, if you're going to file a claim, just remember how much you're going to file. Because it could be that you might pay more than your deductible, or the claim is so low that it don't make no sense, and then you end up paying more on a deductible. And so, for example, if your claim, let's say, I'm not really good in, how you call it, hoofdrekenen, but let's say if it's 200,000 and it's 2%, your deductible is already 40,000. But let's say is it 4,000? Okay, thank you, 4,000. But let's say if the repair is $3,500, it don't make any sense to file the claim. Because then you file a claim, and then you're paying extra $500 out of your own pocket, and you still have to pay for the repairs. Yes? So the vehicle insurance, I'm sure you probably, not only for hurricane, but probably in case of accidents, you have to start getting the estimate on repairs to submit. You also file the claim form. And this, you will have to pay your deductible in advance for them to start the process. And then an adjuster also will contact you. We also have for the marine, actually, sorry, it's a repeat, but collect again your estimate of the invoice for the marine. You file your claim, and then the adjuster also will contact you. And for the travel insurance, it's very important. Travel insurance persons tend to not think on, let's say, getting a report. You have to get a report. Of course, with cancellation, you're contacting the companies, the hotels, maybe you wanted to go to a concert too. All those things you can file. I just named just the basic, the travel, sorry, the flight and the hotel, but it could be car, concert, maybe you're going to a training. All those things that you paid for in advance, those are things that you can also file a claim for. Save the invoices and then fill out the form. And okay, there is a deductible for the baggage, but there's only a deductible for baggage, nothing else.
Court of Guardianship said an important factor a while ago. Good evening, my name is Inspector Josefa. I am the Communication Director for the police. What's in the name? I'm the person who just writes the newspaper and manages the communication parts of the information for the police. I specifically had ESF 5+. And I heard the answer during the session of Court of Guardianship. What happens when the EOC is put in working? ESF 5 comes as part of the whole group. A weird thing happens. A lot of the Justice Change Department comes under the guardianship of the Chief of Police. Nothing care. Again, when ASC 3 is working, nearly all the Justice Departments falls under ESF 5 and the leadership is at the police. Don't ask me why, but I'm talking from Court of Guardianship, the handhaving part. You're talking about MOT. You're talking about even federal detectives. Everything goes via the Chief of Police up to EOC. So I specifically put ESF 5+ because it's not the police alone. Everybody thinks it's just the police alone. It is not the police alone. So immigration at that time, and when it comes to working with Court of Guardianship when the child is leaving, it has to go also via this channel. It is a structure that is made that way. Again, I come immediate so, but there's a particular reason behind it. I don't want to come to say, yes, what the police, the tips, everybody could get the tips online, what you should do during hurricane. Those things are online, you could get those things. What the police do is more important, I think, during that period. What the police does is more important. And the core task is the most important factor. And in a small nutshell, we're talking about safety, security, and traffic. During that period, those are the things that the police thinks on first. Part of that also has to do with assisting with evacuation, security, the shelters also falls under ESF 5 at that moment. That's why we can't do it alone. Most of the times we come together with the Marines who have a double function, VKS, you name it. We get help from away because of the amount of tasks the police have during this. There is nothing bigger than closing up the roads and manning posts during the hurricane or after hurricane. And believe me, it happened before also. So even before the hurricane arrived, there are certain things that happens. Traffic is one of the main things we deal with first. You wouldn't believe it. Everybody wants to go home. Everybody wants to go to the shop at the same time. Absolutely. And believe me, if I tell anybody at that moment, hello, we closing up the road, it's like hell and damnation. It's a fact, eh? But we understand that at that moment, everybody's emotional and everybody is scared to a certain extent, and they want to get everything in order. But if we don't deal with the traffic, you're going to get stuck for, instead of half an hour, for 2 hours. This is St. Martin still. And remember, we tend to forget that we're 2 countries too, eh? We still tend to forget that we are 2 countries in one. And their operations over there are different than ours. Public order is one of the big issues we deal with. And I heard the word looting a while ago. One of the biggest things we prepare for now, in the beginning, is this part of it. We learn our lessons over the years. Eh? We have learned. So from now on, there's certain strategies we placed from early. There's certain major supermarkets we go with from early. We make sure that they are safe to avoid certain things. We make sure that we don't want no one in Front Street. Yeah, but I want to go check my store. No, this is the wrong time for it. Our job at that moment is to make sure that nobody's in town. It's hard to say it, eh? As a business owner, you want to go see what happened. But not only you want to go see, the fellas them who want to go steal and rob want to go see at the moment. So if I keep everybody out, it's the best thing. It's the police job at that moment to keep it safe. One weird thing is dealing with the looters, this part of it. Imagine I only have 10 cell spaces, 15, and I got 100 people. Strategically, you have to think about all of these things and what you're going to do. It sounds funny at the moment, but it's a logistical headache. You know, there were so many, on reaching the strategic team, one of those things we have to think in scenarios. Eh? What happens if you have arrested 100 people during, and remember the jail get mashed up too, eh? They're destroyed. So you got to think about it. What are you going to do with those people? Are you going to wait until, like we did last time, we're going to wait until everything calms down and then we're going to everybody's house and jump in their house and take out everything after what they stole? That's the option, eh? But at that moment, it's a decision that has to be taken. And at the end of the story, safety first, eh? Safety first. And not for the police alone, but the public, general public. Material things, you could always get back. Human life is something you can't get back. So out of that angle, most of the times we think. When I talk about providing assistance, this has to do a lot with the other departments. And Court of Guardianship is one of the most important ones when it comes to getting people to the safety to the airport, because the task of the police is also guiding the group who needs to go to certain safe locations. Also the task of police. So if Court of Guardianship tell me, officers, we need to get the 10 children on a bus to the airport, we have to coordinate it. We have to make sure that they arrive from their location. We got to make sure the road is clear for them to get there. So all of these are tasks that most people don't even understand that we have to do. But yeah, I want to go home. You can't pass now. But yeah, I want to go to my house. I want to go see what happened there. Knowing that you're going to block the road now for us to get to our safe spots. And what we got stuck with a lot of times, most of our equipment was damaged. Eh? We too suffered damage during the hurricane. I'm talking about, if you can remember, we get more Dutch cars here than we were driving at the time than the local police cars. We too had to strategize what we're going to do in the future. Now, what we did, we're asking certain hotels who have underground parking or safe space for us to, for that, during the hurricane, park our cars there. And I'm talking about in sectors, we divided in 3 sectors, so east, west, and over the hill. So if something happened, we always have the persons them there. And also, as soon as the hurricane finished, we could do analysis of what happened. So that's always the way we think. And we have something special task, and this is something we get caught up in a lot. What do you do if I lose my passport? You can't just go to the receiver because the receiver will ask you, I need a document stating that a registration, saying to the police that you made a documentation that it was lost or stolen. At that time, it's also difficult. But if you want to leave, the police have to make a way for you to get this document anyhow. These documents. So we just try to keep the administration up and running. We even go as far as, if it's necessary, all the other departments who could fit in the police station, who makes it easier for us, come by us. We're going to make space in our office. I'll move out some people just for them to move in. It makes it a lot easier because the contact is right there. So that's always the thought behind how we try to operate. And like I said, there is a structure. Police are weird people. They like a particular structure. They want to be directed. So you got to tell me what to do so I can carry it out. There is a structure together with the ESF4, 5, and 6. We are called an emergency group. So I'm talking about the fire department, the police, and ambulance. We work in operations when it comes to something called COPI, which is an operational unit. If something happened at a particular location, I'm talking about a fire, a shooting, all three of us need each other at that moment at that particular location. So all of us come there. There are 3 managers at the location. We speak to each other concerning, hey, what you need from me? What do you need from me? How we could do it together. So it's a working relationship we have with the 2 other emergency departments. As you see, ESF5 is something that falls under us, under the police plus, as they call it, because it's not the police alone. It's not the police alone who fall under ESF5. The next picture is a whole weird thing that the police do have. What is it? It's a structure that the police uses during crisis. It's a crisis management team. This management team has every individual who's in that management team have a specific task. Every person who sits at that table have one specific task. I am called the HACOM, which is Head of Communications. My task is only to deal in the structure about, only thing I'll talk about is how are we going to communicate strategically with DCOM and above. That's my task alone. There's a public order part. That particular person only deals with how we're going to handle public order. It is totally decentralized in the sense of this person does this, and together we're going to do it as a group. It works. It works. Without you knowing, we do this now for Carnival. We do this for the hurricane season. We do it for regatta. So we know it works, and Carnival have proven that with all the headaches we had, it works. It's just a structure. Again, I don't want to keep it too long. Everybody's kind of tired. So like I said, it is a way of doing business differently. The police being on patrol, just doing, those are the olden days. Those days are past. Everything is structured now, even by the police. During hurricane season, as soon the word hurricane is coming, the police are on a whole different level of doing business. The mindset changes. So everybody knows their task at that moment. Every individual who sits in that SKBO group knows their task at the moment. So everybody is called, and it's totally a strategic group. From them, the chief of police gets his directives to carry to the EOC. What we're going to do this year, we started last year already, all the departments that make part of justice going to be in the future on part of this platform. Because we can't do it by ourselves anyway. Every justice department, I'm talking from immigration, Court of Guardianship, MOT, Lancer-Charge, Numerop, everybody going to be part of the platform because we need their input to carry it up to the EOC. It's not only the public safety alone, no more. Like I said, it is a different angle of looking at it, but this is what we're going to do during a disaster. Because it's not only hurricane alone, during a disaster. We just think a lot about hurricanes, but don't forget, we too, in our strategic ideas, we plan even for earthquakes because we have to.